Hi, and welcome to Quilting with Lori. My name is Lori Dickman. Today I'm going to be sharing with you part 3 of my block of the month for 2024, which is Bees in My Garden. I do have one of the quilt tops ready here. It's been pieced. I have it pinned to another quilt hanging on the wall. You'll see some red poking through. That's from another quilt underneath. The block of the month has 2 different border options. This piano key or picket fence border option, as well as the pink applique option. And for part 3, I'm going to be sharing with you today how to do the bee black, the beautiful little bumblebee, as well as the picket fence or the piano key border. Here's a bit of a close-up of the bumblebee and the fun little Dresden flowers. I do have the Dresdens appliqued with dark pink thread, but I do think I'm going to need to accentuate those more when I do the quilting, because that the light pink petals sort of blend in with that blue sky, and I do want to have more contrast with that. So I'll deal with that when I get to the quilting portion of this pieced quilt. In part 2, you learned how to piece the curved blocks there for the leaves. Part 1, we learned the Dresden flowers. Now, part 3 is the bumblebee and the pieced border, which is the picket fence or piano key, whichever you want to call it. So let me show you how that's done. First of all, for those of you who are registered for this class, and I will include a link below in the description box so you can go out and register for this class if you'd like to. It is simply a $25 class. It's a 4-month class, and you get all of the PDFs, the templates, and the video instructions with that. And if you're not able to access my description box below the YouTube video, just go out to my quiltingwithlori.com website and go to my shop, and then scroll down to courses, and then under the courses tab, you'll find the Bees in My Garden class. So what you'll want to do, for those of you who are students, you would have received via email the information that you need, the PDF of instructions, as well as the PDF of the templates for the bumblebee. We are going to be doing a fusible fusible applique for our bumblebee. Therefore, you can ignore that 1/4-inch seam allowance. So when you're doing your tracing of the elements, the wing, the body, and so forth, you will trace on the dark line, and then you'll fuse that onto the back or the wrong side of the appropriate colored fabrics, and then you'll cut on that dark line. The outside line here, that 1/4-inch seam allowance, would be if you plan to do needle turn applique. But I won't be teaching needle turn in this particular lesson, but it's available for you for those who do like to do needle turn applique. So be sure to grab that PDF. I've got mine printed out. Remember, when you print out the PDF for the template, to print it at 100%. Often printers default to fit to page, and that will decrease the size of the template, and you want them to be the proper size. So make sure that you go into your settings when you're printing this and print it at 100%. For the PDF of instructions, the first page is always giving you the information on fabric requirements, etc. And here, second page, you're seeing some of the blocks that we're working with in the borders. And we've already done the Dresdens. We've done the curved leaves. I've taught you that in the, this was the first month. This was the second month. This here is the 3rd month. And we're going to applique the bee, and then we're going to create the corner blocks as well as the border blocks for this quilt. So what we're going to first of all be sure to do is cut 2 of your sky blue 9.5-inch squares. One of these sky blue squares is going to remain just as it is, and the other one is what you're going to use for your bee applique. If you look at your template for the bumblebee, you'll see that a template A is simply the 9.5-inch sky blue square. And then E happens to be the white or light fabric for the wings. B happens to be the body, and I've done mine in black. And of course, you can change the colors on any of this, but these are just typical bumblebee colors that I'm using. And this is a yellow number C and a yellow number D, which is going to make the stripes on the bumblebee. So what I have done is I've gotten in this case, I used some steamacine, light steamacine, and I have traced these elements on the dark line. I just used a pencil here and traced on the dark line on each of these. So I've got my white. I like to write the color that I'm going to use on the element. White here, black here, yellow and yellow. And so then I will loosely cut these out. And then I'm going to place each of these on the reverse side of the appropriate color fabric, black, yellow, and white. I have gone ahead and loosely cut around these items. So I have this one is going to go on the black. It's on the back side of the black. And basically all three of my fabrics, the fronts and the backs are pretty much identical. Often with batiks, they are the same. And with this plain black fabric, it's the same on both sides. But if you're using a printed cotton that has a definite wrong and right side, make sure that you fuse these to the wrong side of your fabric. So I've got them all on here. I'm using a steam seam, which I pulled off the paper on the back and it's got the stickiness there. But the neat thing about it is you can keep moving it around until you're happy with the placement. And that comes into play when you're actually laying out your bee on the block, where you can kind of move things around until you're pleased with where it's located or where it's positioned. Once you press it, it's permanent. And I'm going to go ahead and press these onto the wrong side of these fabrics. I've got the white, the yellow, and the black. I'm going to go ahead and press them, follow the instructions, your manufacturer's instructions for whichever kind of fusible that you're using. And then I'll be back and we're going to go ahead and cut these on that dark line, cut them out, and then we'll be ready to place them on our block. So I have cut out each of my elements on the drawn lines. As you can see, here was my white. I've already got my black body laid down. And then I removed the paper from the yellow and from this yellow, and I placed them over here. And you can reposition, in my case, I'm using a steam seam fusible, and I can just reposition them until I'm happy with the location. And then, let me take the paper off, this white. So this is a double-sided paper when you're using a light steam seam. And so the paper was used on one side for drawing, and on this side it's being used to remove and place it on the block. So there's my wings on top of my bumblebee. Now, the one thing you could do, if your white fabric allows the black and yellow to show through, you might want to, before you iron anything, go in and just trim away what's below the white wings so that the black and the gold is not showing through. I did that for my other bee on the quilt that I've already pieced. I just left about 1/4 of an inch of the yellow here and the black there that was visible. And then, of course, it's got the blanket stitch applique, so it's not as noticeable. And you may not notice this so much, but as I'm looking at it from here, I can definitely see the black body poking through and the gold. So for me, I didn't care for that. Another thing you could do is just maybe fuse 2 layers of the white wing on top of this, and then you're good to go. You're probably not going to be able to see through that. So at this point, what you can do is set up your sewing machine with your beautiful thread. I used a gold and a black for this, and go ahead and do a blanket stitch or a straight stitch or whatever type of applique stitch you'd like to use, and use that to applique this bumblebee. You might want to use a straight stitch then and just make some little antenna that you can put up here, or you can simply use, what I did was just a permanent marker. I believe it wasn't a Sharpie. This is what I have downstairs. It was a different brand upstairs that I had used when I pieced it. But I just simply went ahead and drew it on there, and it's permanent, so it won't be going anywhere. So that's what I did. It's kind of the lazy man's way, but definitely if you like to hand embroider, certainly go ahead and make those applique antenna on your bumblebee block. And actually, before I go on, because these are wings, and because a bumblebee's wings are actually see-through, there really isn't any reason that you'd have to cut that away. Seeing that body through there would be natural if you're looking at a bumblebee, because you can kind of see their wings are transparent anyway. So just some ideas for you to think about. So next we're going to, I'm going to get this appliqued. I'm going to show you a close-up of my bumblebee as I've appliqued it. And then, of course, you have one extra blue block that you're going to be using for the sky. And you're going to piece this together. And here you'll see how you're piecing the leaves together. This has leaves and flowers. These are 4 flowers. These are the top of these 2 flowers and the plain blue and the bumblebee. So that's how the center of the quilt gets pieced together. It's a 4x4, 16 blocks in all. Now we're going to start working on the piano key, or the picket fence, if you will, border. And this is basically strips of fabric, width of fabric strips. And I've used white and green. I've cut width of fabric strips. I've cut 3 of the white and 3 of the green to create the strip sets. And I've actually made 3 different strip sets to accomplish what we need for all of the blocks as well as the corner blocks. And so go ahead and get that done. They're 2 inches wide by the width of the fabric. So I've sewn 3 whites with 3 greens. Once I had those sewn together, I did make sure that I pressed all of the seams open. I take my fingernail first and just press it open after I've sewn each of those seams. And then I take it to the sewing machine, to the iron, and press it on the iron to make sure they're pressed open. To me, that just works much better when you're working with strips like this. So that's how I did mine. And then you're going to subcut everything. And point 2 down here explains that you're going to take that entire strip set and you're going to subcut it into 5-inch by the 9.5-inch wide rectangles. And of course, it's already 9.5 inches wide, and so all you have to do is subcut 5 inches from it. And you're going to need a total of 12. Let's go to the next page here. You're going to need a total of, with the blue sky here, you're going to need a total of 12 of these. So 12 of the picket fence borders with the blue sky, and these are also 5 inches by 9.5 inches. They're going to be sewn together, and you need a total of 12 of these. You're going to need a total of 4 of the grass, and this is 5 inches by 9.5 inches, and you'll sew those with the picket fence or the piano key border. And so you need 4 of these, 12 of these. They're going to go all the way around the quilt, but you also have to create the corner blocks. So there are 2 corner blocks that have a sky corner, and there are 2 corner blocks that have the grass corner. These are 5-inch squares, and you're just going to use the leftover remnants of your strip sets and remove, you're going to need a white, green, white, so you're just going to pull them apart, and you've got what you need to create these portions. So you're going to create 2 of these and 2 of these, and you're going to sew them with these 9.5-inch by 5-inch rectangle strip sets. And you've got your corners for the border of this quilt. So you've got your blue and green 5-inch squares. You have your white, green, and white strip sets that are 5-inch squares. You have your rectangles that are 9.5 by 5 inches, and you have your blue and also your green 9.5 by 5-inch rectangles. So those are simply the parts and pieces that you're using to put this together. And the instructions are very clear in how you create it all. And then as you lay this out, use your design wall or your floor. And you're first of all going to place the top 2 corner squares, which have the sky blue in them, and the bottom 2 green squares, which have the green grass in them. And then place the rest of your border blocks around the quilt, get it sewn together, and you are ready to get that quilted. You might want to add a small or narrow outer border. I think I am going to put a dark green outer border around this before I take it to quilt it. So that's totally up to you. You can make it as large as you want. Actually, you can make this as long as you want. Maybe you want to have 3 flowers and a few bumblebees in your quilt. That's certainly something that you can do. Have fun with the pattern, experiment and play, and make sure that you post pictures on my Facebook group page or email them to me. I'd love to see what you come up with. So here's my little bumblebee, and I just simply did a blanket stitch, as you can see, and I simply used a marker to create his antenna. And then these are the borders that I've put on the quilt. And of course, the bottom ones have the green 5-inch square. Trying to make sure you see this here. And then the top corners would have the blue 5-inch square. So next month, we're going to be working on the border, which involves applique all the way around. And I'm contemplating using some felted wool for all of those flowers. We'll see. I'm not sure yet. I may just use fusible applique with some of the batiks that I've purchased for this, but we'll see. Maybe I'll show you both ways. But that'll be in the month of June. And then these quilts are ready to be quilted and hung. They're just really fun, adorable quilts, happy summertime quilts. So I'm anxious to see many of your quilts for the students that are working on this, and hopefully many more of you will be joining this class. And you can work on it at your own pace. The PDFs as well as the videos will always be available to you. So you can, if you can't get to it this summer, you can get to it this fall or next winter, whatever works best. But it's a fun quilt. There's lots of different techniques that I'm teaching throughout the class, and it's been a lot of fun. Hope you're enjoying it. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel today. Again, my name is Lori Dickman. Quiltingwithlori.com is my website. You can go out there and find all kinds of different courses, classes, patterns, and books. Thanks so much for stopping by. Have a wonderful week and happy quilting.